And we are live.
Didn't hear the music at all. Did it stop?
Y'all didn't hear the music? Nobody heard the music? Wait a minute. Hold on. Now we can't do this with no music. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Let's just try this again. Hold on. We can't do no music. Yeah. There we go. Technical mistake today.
Series dedicated to empowering youth and families. This series is brought to you by Steps Foundation, Inc., where advocacy meets education for the betterment of young minds. I'm Karen Silva, your host and peer educator at Steps Foundation. This month, we're diving into a crucial topic for teens and their families, college and career readiness. Navigating the path to your future can be overwhelming, but we're here to break it down step by step. Throughout October, we'll explore different career paths, including vocational and technical options, guide you through the college application process, share tips for financial planning, and help you build a resume that stands out. Join us each week as we provide you the tools and the insights you need to confidently take the next step in your education or career journey. We're excited to introduce our team and our guest speakers with us today. We have the usual people. We have Smitty, we have Juliana. And if you want to learn more about them, visit our website to find detailed bios, their expertise, and additional resources they've shared to help you build positive peer relationships.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm Jackie. So we're going to be discussing different career paths, including vocational and technical careers. And some important tips would be to explore early and broadly, encouraging teens to explore a variety of careers, including traditional college paths, vocational trades, and emerging industries. Use resources like career assessments, shadowing professionals, or internships to gain exposure. Consider vocational and technical careers. Many high-paying jobs like those in healthcare, technology, or skilled trades, such as plumbing, electrical work, don't require a 4-year degree. What are some common misconceptions teens have about career paths today? Anyone?
So I think with my interactions with a lot of high schoolers, when we start talking about misconceptions, the biggest thing is a lot of them don't think they need a diploma. Now, I'm not saying a diploma is the end all be alls, but it is super helpful when we start talking about entry level positions. Another misnomer is that a lot of young folks think they're going to go into this, high position within a company with little to no experience. So, one of the big things is just one, you need a diploma, it would be super helpful. Two is you're not starting at the top. You're going to, be at the bottom rung. You probably have the worst schedule. You're probably not going to have weekends off. It's just those misnomers that a lot of young folks don't understand the business and the real workforce, if you will, and how to navigate it. I think those are the like two biggest takeaways for that I've seen when talking to young folks.
Yeah, and I agree. But of course, now not every career is going to, you're not going to get in without a degree.
Sure.
You know, and I say that just from personal experience. On a personal note, I went to college, stopped because of health reasons, and decided to go back to school because what I want to do, you need a degree. But something like, let's say, plumbing, you may not need a 4-year degree.
No, it's and to that point, so that's a great segue when we start talking about trades. Because again, a lot of the young folks I'm talking to, let me just be clear on this. I talk to many young folks from different walks of life, whether they're straight A's and they kind of have a plan on, next level higher education, or, my young cats out there who aren't doing overly well in high school and are looking for other trades. So the challenging part is this. When we start talking about maybe you don't need a college degree, when we start talking about trades, entering the trades, whether it's, you becoming a longshoreman, which is a very, very lucrative and difficult position to get, that's almost, you need to know somebody for sure. Some nepotism needs to happen to get to longshoreman spot almost. We start talking about, local trades, whether it's electrician, plumber, painter, carpentry, whatever. Now, you may not need a degree, but some level of experience is helpful. And then the most basic, and this is where a lot of the young cats I deal with struggle with. A lot of these apprentices, chips, or journeymen that local trade facilities offer requires a math test. And that is the number one challenge that I see across the board is that young folks who have a false misconception that they don't necessarily need to be higher achievers in education, and because they're just going to pursue a trade, fall short of that requirement. And that's a big thing is the math. So
I'm
now
glad
you
you
may not,
mentioned that, Smitty,
but you
because
need a you need
that was something I wanted to mention too, that automatically just because you are seeking a trade doesn't mean you weren't skilled or weren't doing well academically either, because tradesmen are very intelligent folks. They have to do a lot of, like you said, math on the fly, being able to put these things into practical use. I mean, architecture, roofing, construction, all of these things are math based in many, many ways. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to make sure that we were very clear that we're not saying that if you are seeking a trade, that somehow you weren't academically achieving.
Oh no, not at all. And thank you for putting that stipulation in there because I agree with you wholeheartedly. A lot of brilliant minds have entered into and succeeded into local trades, and we need more. And just to kind of shut me up, but like to put it back out there to focus on this is not to toot myself on the back or pat myself on the back, but my youngest son who got a college degree in a certain trade, you know, he's still learning some ropes because you can't learn everything. And then there's some soft skills that, yeah, you may be great in math. You may be great with your hands. You may be able to think on the fly, but some of those soft skills about dealing with the customer, right? And when we think about trades, the customer can be anybody from the person you're actually dealing with to other contractors, right? To city inspectors, to a whole bunch of different, people. So the soft skills play a critical part, especially when we start talking about trades, and how to communicate and just how to have that professional decorum, if you will, when we start getting to that area.
Yes. So, Smitty, you just touched on my second question, which was, can you explain the differences between traditional 4-year college degrees and vocational and technical careers, right?
Yeah.
So with that, how can teens begin exploring different career options while still in high school?
Shadowing. You know, I don't know whatever happened to bring your kid to work day, but you know, we could definitely, well, I know what happened. COVID happened, but that's a different conversation. But, you know, so here's the thing. There's so many different, and this is just me. There's so many different ways to introduce young people to careers. Now, be mindful when I say this because I'm not saying bring this child or this student into the workplace. There's other ways. I mean, you can Google search any job and see what the requirements are, see what the projected forecast of hiring is, see what the projected income is over 10 years, 20 years, see, you know, what kind of in demand they're going to be. Right. But what I'm saying is you take a young person, just for example, my grandson, we just took him to the Space Center in Houston. He got to go in an actual real spacecraft to see what it looks like, feels like, see what it sounds like. Now, again, I don't know if he's going to be an astronaut, but at least he has some idea of what it looks like, right? We have to start having, you know, real life day at school. You know, we have all these other days, but we don't have a real life day. Like when I say that, I say like let's have instead of calling it the classroom, we'll call it the community. And in that community, people are doing different things. There's a banker, there's a principal, there's a mayor, there's a fire chief, you know, there's a shop store owner in this community. And now these young folks get to see, oh, this is what they do. They own the bakery and they pay these taxes to this local tax collector. All of these, there's wonderful different ways if we start thinking outside the box on how we introduce young people to different careers. You know what I'm saying? And then as you get older, obviously, when we start talking about high school, right? I think that's just more or less on the community, making themselves more accessible to teens in high school. And I said this last year on one of the shows, is like how wonderful would it be if the local baker owner, the mom and pop, went to the local high schools and said, "Hey, yo, we want to bring in two of your juniors for the summer." One, it creates this recycleism, as I call it. We're talking about recycling in our own community, right? It introduces them to different levels of business, whether that's, you know, on-time opening, customer skills, you know, budgeting, whatever the case is. So there's many different ways. I think us as adults, business owners, you know, local shop owners, stakeholders, community members, just have to be a little bit more open and reachable to young folks. And stop. I'm gonna shut up after this because I feel like I've been talking all day. You know, we have to stop as adults judging young people and what they look like and what they sound like and think they can't do the job. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I see it way too often. And again, how can you expect a young person to evolve and learn if you don't give them the opportunity based on how you are your own biases? You know, so I just need to say that, you know, we need to be more approachable and accessible as business owners locally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
But
I'll
start
add.
with, I'll
Sorry.
start with, I love that you asked the question of what happened to bring your kid to work day. Because and I agree. Now, we can keep blaming COVID all we like, but everybody going out and doing everything they want to do right now, right?
That's right.
And so we can't keep blaming COVID for why this is not a thing anymore. And even outside of just the bring your kid to work day, right? I agree with you, Smitty. It's about how are we as a collective, like organizations, small business owners, CEOs, HR consultants, like all of us that are in positions where we can have these conversations with students, helping to prepare them for what it continues to look like. I love the just show up. Whether it's at the school, we got to show up where they are and have these candid conversations. It doesn't have to be a, hey, we're waiting for career day, or hey, we're waiting for whatever function is happening at the school to come in and talk about how our students can get acclimated to spaces that they typically do not see or even know exist. It's just about us being able to come in, share the resources that we have, share the knowledge that we have, so that they're able to get at least an understanding of what some of these fields look like. So I love that you brought that up, because I used to look, my mama faithfully brought me to work. I was a nursing home baby.
Well, here you go, sis, to that point, which is very, very crucial, right? Let's just say we did make ourselves more accessible as business owners, right? Whatever the case may be. Imagine you don't go in there as an employer looking for your future employee. But what if you went in there just to be an introductory phase to the next level? And what I mean by that is, take this for example. Let's say myself, I say, hey, local principal, I want to set up a career day at your school for this day, this blah, blah, blah. Okay, I go in there. I'm not talking about recruitment. I'm talking about, what does pay look like? How do you get paid, right? What does sick time look like? What, all these little things that go into work that young folks don't know about. What is the dress code? What is the handbook? All just these little things, right? And so now you leave there and you just spark the interest of one of the students. And they're like, oh, I think I might want to go work for that person, right? So again, there's multiple ways to do things, but setting up the foundation to make successful employees takes more than just going to recruit, like you say, on career day.
It's also a way of networking. I mean, you have like, let's say that veterinarian shows up for career day, or like you said, that baker, or let's say something like steps shows up for career day. And now you meet these young people who, let's say they didn't know they really wanted to work, or they didn't know that these organizations were out there. And now they meet that veterinarian and they're like, oh, wow, like a veterinarian. I really never thought that I could be a veterinarian, or I never thought about that particular career path or steps. I could be an advocate for somebody. I could help. I didn't know my voice mattered, right? And now they're thinking outside of the box and outside of maybe the limits that had been placed upon them. So I love that career day.
Well, what about this? See, now you guys got my mind racing, right? As much as it's on the business owners, the local business owners, what about the districts themselves opening themselves up and saying, hey, listen, it's so easy to bring the big giant hospital in, or the big giant promoter of this, that, and the third. But what about the local? And I'm speaking specifically about my little area right here. We have a lot of immigrants in my particular area, but they own their own businesses, but there's a language barrier. They don't know they can go to the local school and do a presentation on how to run your own business, how do you get paid, whatever, right? So imagine if one worked with the other and we didn't work in silos, and a benefit that it would bring to students, right? Because now, to me, I'm a big believer in representation matters. And I'm gonna go off the board right here. But if there's a young Black girl, a young Latino girl, a young Asian girl, and they see someone that looks like them that is running a business in their town, and they didn't know they could, man, we done changed their whole trajectory for their possibility of being successful. So it takes everybody in the community to work together.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And now that brings me to my next question. So what role do internships or part-time jobs play in helping teens discovering their career interests? And I'm not talking about just your Target or your Walmart, but what role do, I mean, like you said, the career path, what role would these internships now, or the part-time jobs, how would they help these teens?
We had talked about internships and their roles in the past, and how important they are, because again, the internship is not necessarily, it could be paid, but most of them are not. But it goes back to the social capital that you're building in that networking phase of who you might meet, right? So I heard this great African phrase just the other day. I've heard it before, but I heard it in the African sense. And it was like, once you get the elevator up, you have to send the elevator back down. And that's what internship is, right? You're going to go up that elevator. And as you're going up as the intern, right? You're seeing people, you're meeting people, you're leaving business cards, right? You're leaving your resume, right? And then on the way back down, you'll probably see them again, right? And then you're going to send it back up to somebody else, right? So they can do the same thing, right? And then one day you're going to be on that part where people are going to come up that elevator and you're passing that information on and you're taking it, right? So the internship is critical because it's a way to build your social capital and your network, right?
Mm-hmm.
The part-time to me, I think part-time is a great stepping stone. And I think it should be the first job for a lot of folks because in a very small time, you have to learn a lot. And one of the things is time management, right? If you're only working 4 hours out the day, you can't afford to be late, right? So that's the number one thing, right? It gives you time to one, make money, right? Two, learn a skill, whatever that skill may be from that particular part-time job, right? And then learn some time management. Because again, you can't be late if you're only working 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day, or maybe even 10 hours a week, right? And then it also helps you with that time management, create a schedule. And I think that's the number one challenge our young folks face is a schedule. Because we live in a 24-hour news cycle society right now where there's nobody sleeping, right? We have young people trying to stay up till 5 in the morning to get the latest dress code before they go to school at 7 a.m., right? So learning time management and creating this schedule to be like, oh, you know what? I get some sleep because I got to be to work at 4. I got to be to school at 8. So the part-time is critical when we start talking about the introductory phase to learning what the workforce looks like.
I
I
love
agree.
the concept and love like how you worded that, Smith. And y'all already know how I feel about internships, right? It yeah. Look, Smith, no, because we did a whole month on internship and talking about like what interns face going out there into the field. And I do believe that internships should be the segue into exploration. So a lot of times, and especially with high school students, right? They're still trying to figure out what they even want to be, where they want to go. Even as college students, sometimes you're still trying to figure out where's my next step? What am I looking for into going into next or dabbling with next? And internships are a great way for dabbling and trying to figure it out because now you get to go behind the scenes, right? And you get to see if this day to day is really what you want. But also think about like what is that professional next step? What is it that you really desire to do and be? And how can you utilize that internship to practice that skill or to hone in on that skill so that you have something to show later? I feel like internships are that open door into the career that you're looking for. And like Smitty said, that social capital. Because if you work that internship right, you should always leave with a connection to someone in some area that you can be close to afterwards. Is it always likely? No, because every internship is not set up properly. So I do feel like internships, especially at the high school level, is a great way for exploration. I love, Smitty, that you brought up organization and time management because that is key in understanding what to do next. And I do agree a lot of our students are struggling with time management, but a lot of adults are too. Have a hard time managing that time and being able to stay schedule driven. And what does organization look like to a lot of students?
that goes into what you touched on, sis, when you threw the word professional out there, right? That internship should offer you the opportunity to build your professional skills, right? So young folks, that word is kind of, professional makes you think, oh, she is, yeah, yeah. Professional skills is the soft skills I mentioned earlier. How to send email. What does customer service look like? It's not getting an attitude. It's not, all of this. there's so many small intricacies when we start talking about professional responsibilities that you have.
Yeah.
And one of those professional responsibilities is being on time and not saying, oh, well, my Uber came late, or and because those are real things.
Yes. Yes.
There's accountability, right? That time management is accountability. So the internship should be, again, an introductory phase to work or hone or master, if you will, your professional skills, right? Here's a great one. Here's a great one, young folks. I don't like this word, but it's a reality, and we have to focus on it. Young folks, called code switching. And I'm not telling anybody to code switch. That's not what I'm saying. But when we start talking about mastering our professional responsibilities and our accountability, and again, I've said this before in the show, I can't bring Smith Dog from 1986 into my business meetings right now. I mean, I could, but it's probably not going to go over well, right? And so again, I'm not saying, sitting there all uptight and change your voice and your inflection I'm not saying that, but there is a decorum, if you will. There is a way to be professional at the same time of being authentic. That's a fine line, I understand, but you got to learn that, especially in these part-time internships, these introductory phase stepping stones. That's a great opportunity to learn, oh, okay, I leave old boy over here. I'm old boy right here, just for right now, just so I can understand this. And then as you become more inclined to know how to navigate this world, then you can start bringing your authentic self in slowly. You can start bringing your authentic self in.
Well,
I
I
love
was
the slowly, slowly.
I was gonna say I'll actually touch on code switching a little bit more because I think it it sometimes gets a bad rap, but we all code switch um throughout our lives in different settings in different spaces. When I'm with my grandparents, I don't speak to them the same way I speak to my friends. And so the there is a level of code switching that you naturally do just because you're in different situations and different settings and different and around different in different environments around different people. But to Smitty's point, when it comes to being your authentic self in a workplace, there's a fine line between figuring out how much of me I can be, right? And I know for young people in particular, it's really if you're looking at what people are showing you as far as what professionalism looks like, it might not look like you just yet. And so what I want to encourage you with is that you as a professional is just being developed. It's just evolving. And so you can shift and change that narrative and who that is as you see fit. But what Smitty meant was, as far as when he was saying, like your ability to speak, how are you able to convey ideas correctly? Are you able to advocate for yourself? Are you able to get the job done, what you were asked to do, um, and communicate accordingly? Now, what that looks like is going to be different for everybody, but you still need to have some level of ability to communicate with your supervisors, your managers in a way that isn't going to be confusing for everyone involved. And so that's really what I would say would be the focus for developing your professionalism and figuring out how you are going to be a worker in a space before you can even get to a point where maybe you want to be the owner or maybe you want to be the person, hiring other people. But first things first, paying your dues and figuring out what it's like to have that first paycheck, make that first buck. That's all yours.
Hey, Doc, I got to ask this question to you. It's kind of rhetorical, because I think it's important that young folks maybe hear from you, from myself, from different perspectives. Can you explain what your idea of professionalism is? And I only ask that because I know what mine's is, and in the work that I do, right? Both of you, and you reminded me and instructed me of this. I am not the educator traditionally, but I am an educator, right? We do similar things in different environments. So what does your professional look like?
Right.
I
Okay,
love
that's
that.
wonderful. That's
I
a great
love that.
question, and I'm
Yes.
happy to answer that. So depending upon my environment, so I am in multiple spheres. My primary job is counselor educator. So that means I'm working with graduate students, people who already have their bachelor's and are looking to become professional counselors. So when I am looking at my students who are already adults, so I only teach adults at this moment. And so when I'm looking at them and wanting to see professionalism, I'm expecting them to be punctual, to be on time when they say they're going to be on time, or if they've been given a time to be there and be prepared. And what I mean is, don't be scrambling to find a pen. Like, come with your stuff ready to go, ready to learn, ready to do whatever our task is before us. I would like for you to be clean to the best of your ability. I'm not expecting everyone to come in a three-piece suit or a dress, but I want you to be clean and well groomed. And what I mean by well groomed is, depending upon the person, well groomed is, did you put in any effort to be present with me today? Because I think that some folks get it in their head, well, oh, I have to shave, I have to be clean cut. You don't have, as long as you are clean and not offensive to anyone's senses, and you've come into this space, because I also recognize that we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different walks of life. We all come from different financial and economic situations. And so my expectation is that you come at your best self, so that you're not distracted by anything. You're not feeling self-conscious about anything. And if you get to a point where we're working together and you have a need, I'm hopeful that you'll be able to share that with me, so that I can help you, resource you, so that you can have the things that you want, so that you can feel like your best self. Because I work with organizations that provide suits for guys who are trying to go out into the workforce, or I've worked with organizations who are like, here, I can help you make sure that you have deodorant and soap and things like that. So depending upon who you are and where you are, but for me, when I think of professionalism, I want you to be clean, well rested to the best of your ability, ready to learn, ready to do the work, and curious. For me, that's professionalism.
That's awesome. That's why I asked that question, right? Because is it fair for me to say, and young folks to hear, or maybe not young folks, but anybody who may be looking to enter into the workforce, professionalism may be a little, it could be relevant to the profession, and it could be transitional. I know for me,
Absolutely.
for me, it's transitional, and I think it's relevant because, you in your office, or the work that you got going on, you have these expectations, right? Whereas a 16-year-old going into McDonald's, let's just say, there's probably a different level of expectations and professionalism, because they're two different things, right? And so again, young folks, the reason I asked that question is because I want to make sure that you understand, how professionalism may dictate the environment, or the environment may dictate the level of professionalism. For me, now this is just me, right? Young folks, I run my own business. I run my own nonprofit. How you see me now is how I show up to meetings with people, right? But at the same time, if I have to go ahead and throw a three-piece suit on and go meet with another CEO, I will, right? And then you might find me a little bit more debonair, more gentlemanly like, a little bit more couth in what I'm saying. So again, professionalism is transitorial. It's also relevant. But at the end of the day, like the doctor said, are you prepared to get the work done? That is the bottom line to anything you enter do. If we're talking about compensation is being money, then can you get the work done in a very at least somewhat reasonable image of professionalism, if that makes any sense at all.
That was spot on, and I'm so glad you mentioned it. It's so funny. I was having this conversation with my 17-year-old son earlier today. He had it was either a dress like a work day or college day, and so he just wore a hoodie with a college thing on it. But he was like, technically it could have been work. What if I was trying to work at McDonald's? And I was like, to be fair, like you said, Smith, it's a different time, because I remember when I went for my first, like, just to put in an application for my first job, which was Taco Bell. Let's go. I wore a skirt. I wore basically my church clothes. You know what I mean? Like, I wore a buttoned-up skirt, button-up shirt, tucked into my skirt, had my heels on. You know, I came with a pen ready to fill out an application, you know? And my son was like, yeah, we don't, that's not that's not the expectation anymore, Mom. But I was like, but you just show up, like, you put to my mind, you just put your best foot forward. If your best foot forward is you wearing jeans, okay. But I also just want that, I need to know that you're ready to work. I think that for me is the biggest thing, that you come in with the attitude and demeanor that I'm ready to do what it takes to get this position and learn these skills.
And I'll real quick, the other thing with that, to follow up, piggyback on that, is my father told me on that, like you said, you get dressed up on that first day, because you never know. He said, go in there, be prepared to work. On the first day, the interview, even if it's just the application, if you go in there, fill out an application, be prepared to work. That says a lot about you. So that's just one thing to take.
Before we even kick into the next one, I got a question for my team that's on here, because as you guys are working an internship right now, do you feel like, had you had internship opportunities in high school, would it have changed the trajectory for you now?
Ooh, I was waiting for that question. Yes. I don't even think that was offered to me in high school or even in college. So when, Smitty was talking about like career day, I don't think that the different even types of practical career or careers about my passions, like what those were even talked about. I just had one set career in mind. That was it. Let's go. And that was it. But as far as the internship, I think that would have helped a lot.
What about for you two ladies?
The same thing that Jackie said. As my first internship, I found out in college about internship. I never knew about internships in high school. So yeah, like the same thing Jackie said.
I see Karen trying to find her button. I love it though. I really, I feel like even for me, like coming up in a small town, we didn't have access to internships. We did have access to some job shadowing opportunities. But those also were very few and far between. And you had to know somebody in order to get in, especially if it was one where you would make money doing it. You had to know somebody that was going to bring you in or be willing to bring you in to see it. So I love the feedback, and I'm happy like now that internships are becoming more prominent at a younger age, so students get to explore that. Even just job shadowing is becoming bigger, so students get to explore well before they ever reach the doors of college, or well before they figure out if trade school is their option, or what's next for them. So I love as much as we can to continue having students explore opportunities.
We have time for one more question.
Go ahead, knock it out.
Okay. Last question. What What role does networking play in exploring different career paths?
Network,
I'm just
network.
gonna I'm just gonna take it for what again, young folks, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're young or you're old when we start talking about networking. It is the great thing to do at a younger age, right? Chasing networking gets you to be 53 like me, and you trying to build up your social capital. By the time you get to my age, your social capital, you should be the Warren Buffett of social capital, right? But what it does is, I think someone said it earlier, sis, I don't know who it was, but just opening the doors for you that you probably otherwise wouldn't even know the door existed. Let's be honest with that, right? Everybody says, there's always opportunity if you work hard. You can work extremely hard, but if you don't know the door is there, it just won't exist, right? So the networking, the social capital gets you so far really quick. My youngest son, because of baseball and the network he did with baseball and his friends, he ended up securing a summer job starting in the ninth grade of doing construction, learning how to drive a backhoe, learning a bulldozer, a skid, and putting rebar and cement and painting underground and all of this. And it helped him get to the position where he is now, in a position where he doesn't have to do that work, but he knows how to put his boots on and go set rebar, right? So again, the networking, you cannot overemphasize the importance of networking and how it's going to benefit you later of the people you know. And it may not even be the people you know, may be the people that they know that they introduce you to. Boom, springboard, take off, take flight. Ain't that what young folks say? Take flight.
Okay, take flight. I agree, Smith. Networking, I think we do it all the time, no matter what age we are. And it is so important. But I feel like more than networking, relationship building. Mm-hmm. Because we can network all day long and not stay in contact with the person we networking with. So network with the purpose to build a relationship, to get to know the person who you're networking with, because then that's how you continue to gain that social capital that Sweetie keeps talking about, that access to people with those resources that you may or may not need later. But once you build the relationship, those same people look out for you. So sometimes you may not be looking for the job. They will come and tell you about the job because you built the relationship with them. Go ahead, Doc.
That was basically what I was going to say. It's more about relationship building. And I think the biggest thing for young people is networking is a big deal for them, but what you have to take from it are the jewels, right? The people that are really going to want to see you grow and want to see your brand or your they want to see you thrive, and so they're going to think of you when they come up with a job crosses their path that you are perfect for, or that they have to know what that means. Like what skills do you have? You have to have already poured into these folks so that they understand what you bring to the table, so that they can go, oh, they bring this to the table, I got the perfect restaurant for them. Or you know what I mean? So but that takes relationship. And so building that relationship so that people know who you are and know what goals you have, and know, what you, like I said, what you bring, all the skills, everything that is you, and how that can be beneficial to the workplace and spaces that they are traversing.
Can I add before we get out of here? The story that I'm about to share to you tells you what you need to know about the relationship, because social network, all that's great. Relationships and who you are as a person, your morals, your character, who you are, right? I'm doing installs, cable installs. I'm hat to the side, shirts untucked. I know it's supposed to be tucked in, but it's not. But I get the work done. You don't even got to go behind me. I get this guy rides with me. My boss tells me, hey, this OG's gonna ride with you. I'm like, oh man, I had to fix my hat, tuck my shirt in, but he sees I'm getting the work done. Later on that day, he offers me a job as a supervisor. And he was like, hey, man, I really like how you got down and how you talk to customers. So the relationship building, I put it on that man like I can get down, right? Real part of that, cold part about that is he told me, he said, look, man, he said, I know you ain't have your shirt tucked in all the time. He said, but I am a member of the East Bay Dragons, but you don't see me dressed like that. That boy was in a three-piece suit. He was a city manager for the particular company I was working with. So again, right, the relationship building and who you are, how you carry yourself. And like the doctor said, did you get the work done?
I love it. I love it. Well, good work, y'all. Look at that. Look, come through with these nuggets. See, I forgot to change my screen, Smith, so you can have your, my bad. See, we missing Samantha.
I was about to say,
blame
where's
her.
Samantha at? Where's Samantha at? Where's
I love
Samantha?
that. I love that what you had said, Smitty, and just to add to that, something that I was always told was treat people the way you would want to be treated and leave them better than the way you have originally met them or found them.
Yes. Yes.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Come on now, y'all coming through with the
Come on now.
knowledge. I love it. Ilani, you are up.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Talk Tuesday. Whether you're planning for a career right after high school or preparing for college, we hope to see hope this conversation provided valuable insights to help you guide on your journey. The path to your future can be challenging, but with the right tools, resources, and mindset, you can navigate it in with confidence. Before we go, don't forget to check out our upcoming events on Step Foundation. We still have room in our program virtually and BVL library. We would love to see you there. Visit our website for more information or check our social media pages. This month, we'll be starting our 6-week self-care series that teach the family valuable coping skills to work all together. Be sure to register with us. You can find the dates and location by visiting our website at stepfoundation.org. By following our social media pages, Step Foundation Inc. Remember, the future is in your hands, and every step you take toward your goals is progress. Whether you're exploring career options, applying for college, or building a resume, stay focused, stay determined, and know that you have the strength to create the future of your dreams. We're here to support you every step of the way. Be sure to check out our website for more resources, and we will see you next time on Talk Tuesday.